Well, cheers and howdy do, y'all, and how the heck are you doing? Just my angle just there we go. Anyways, how are you, man? So I thought I'd have a Manhattan, man. Trying to get my angle quite right. Oh, anyways, I won't even have this on. So this is a version of a Manhattan. Anyway, it's Manhattan in spirit. I've got 1.5 ounces of Evan Williams bourbon. Yes, I know, for those that want to be feel the need to correct everybody. And I know it is traditionally done with the rye, but I did have a bourbon handy, so I decided to use it. It's an 86 proof bourbon, very reasonable, and actually, in my opinion, a lot better than the $10.99 price would suggest. I used a 1/2 ounce of vermouth, just a tiny bit of cherry juice in there, and a few dashes of Regan's orange bitters. And I dropped 2 cherries in there. I typically only put 1, but I put 2 in. Some places like to put 2 in anyway, I've noticed, but one of them was a little smash. Put another one in there. What the hell? Oh yeah, I've done this a lot of different ways over the years. I like to experiment. You know, there isn't a cocktail place you're going to show up at your door if you're making different. There are people that get their pennies in the wad for some reason when you use different things. I've made these traditionally with rye. I make them a lot with bourbon because I like the boldness of bourbon in this particular drink. I've made them with Irish whiskey. Makes it very smooth. I call it a Dublin. Manhattan by way of Dublin. Anyways, but yeah, it makes it a little smoother, a little softer. Bottom line is enjoy whatever you want, any way you want to. Oh, there's my cat. Shadow wants to get in the shot. This is my favorite cocktail. I am on record as saying that. Typically drink these mostly in the fall, to be honest with you, fall and winter. It's not necessarily known as a refreshing cocktail, but I was in the mood for one. I hadn't had one in a while, and it just sounded good. And by God, I gotta tell you, that Evan Williams bourbon does work well in a Manhattan. The vermouth, the touch of cherry juice, the orange bitters kind of takes whatever rough edges the Evan Williams might have. It just smooths it all out, makes it a nice, tasty drink. I have to admit, though, I hadn't had the Evan Williams in many years, and I did a video with some neat and on the rocks. And I got to tell you, I was rather impressed for the price point. For again, it was only $10.99 a bottle. Is it the smoothest, most subtle bourbon I've ever had? No, certainly not. But it wasn't harsh or rot gut either, and it was more nuanced than you might think that a $10.99 bourbon might be. You certainly will find some caramel, some vanilla. I personally got notes of cinnamon there on the back end. You really notice it more neat than on the rocks, but it's very nice. But that whiskey with some character, yeah, it actually works very nice in this Manhattan, as it were. I'm cranking some blues at the moment. My wife isn't around, so I'm listening to my blues channel. And right now, Bernard Allison, Time Flies By, is playing from Higher Power. I actually got to see Bernard Allison once, of all places, in a little town called, oh gosh, what was the name? Fort Madison, Iowa. There was a guy there that for a couple of years put on this little festival called Simply the Blues. They were nice little festivals he did out there. Keep trying to shift that to where I want it, but I can't quite get it where I want it. Anyways, Simply the Blues. And one year, headlining one night was Bernard Allison. Headlining the next night was Eric Sardinas. So I mean, it was a big show, especially for a little town like that. It was a great blues show. I really enjoyed it. Bernard Allison's freaking amazing. Son of Luther Allison. He's just incredible guitar. Listening to guitar right now, he's amazing. If you haven't had the chance to see Bernard Allison, you really should. People tend to overlook contemporary blues. A lot of folks think blues is all the same thing. Like any style of music, there's different types of blues. You've got Memphis blues, you've got Chicago blues. The West Coast blues is a little bit different. You got Texas blues. I mean, it's all just a little bit different. And then, of course, like anything else, you've got a fusion of the various styles going on. If I had to pinpoint Bernard Allison's sound, because he does cover a lot of ground, it's probably closest to Chicago blues style. But you listen to a lot of these guys, and when I say contemporary blues, I'm going back to, from now to say, you know, right about 2000. There's a lot of guys that were just urban before that, actually. I mean, Bill Perry, Jimmy Thackeray. This stuff really resembles classic rock, because classic rock was based on the blues and kind of grew up from there. I mean, early Zeppelin was damn near all blues. At the very least, blues influenced. Of course, listen to Humble Pie. Humble Pie was all about the blues. They were awesome. Early Fog Hat for sure. But yeah, I mean, if you're not familiar with contemporary blues, look up Tommy Castro. Look up, in fact, Tommy Castro is a little bit different. His style is actually more towards early rock and roll, to be honest with you. But yeah, look up Tommy Castro, Jimmy Thackeray, Bill Perry. Bill Perry is one of my personal favorites. I actually got to see him and talk to him twice here in Springfield, Missouri. Got a picture of me with him. It was great. I got to stay at one show after hours because I knew the owners, Bob and Wanda from Nathan P. Murphy's. They let me stay. We kind of hung out, and it was awesome, man. I got a picture. We were hammered. But Bill Perry was freaking awesome. He passed away a few years ago, way too young. I think he was just in his 40s somewhere. But the man was brilliant. One of the best blues rock guitarists out there. I mean, he was quite a talent. But yeah, look up these guys: Bill Perry, Jimmy Thackeray. Who else? I know I'm missing a few. Eric Sardinas I mentioned earlier. Bernard Allison I was talking about here. Eric Sardinas is freaking amazing. I actually saw Eric Sardinas twice. I saw him here in Springfield at Nathan P. Murphy's. Again, that was one that I didn't get my picture with him because that was before the whole camera phone thing. But he was a really nice guy. Actually, I got to hang out with him a little bit after the show too. And he seems like a guy that's going to be really intense. And then and he is while he's playing. If you've ever seen Eric Sardinas play, you know what I'm talking about. But after the show, he was just so freaking mellow. It was amazing. The guy was just a nice guy. But then I saw him again at that Simply the Blues show that I mentioned. I've seen a lot of folks like that. Nathan P. Murphy's I've mentioned. Scott Holt, another contemporary blues artist, you need to look up. Hamilton Loomis. An artist no more regional than national. Scott Keaton is great. Scott Ellison. Now they're going old school with Junior Wells, Messing with the Kid. Big Al and the Heavyweights. I believe they're from New Orleans or around that area anyway. Big Al and the Heavyweights. Oh my gosh, those guys are an interesting band. I don't know if they're still around or not, but if you get a chance to see Big Al and the Heavyweights, you are in for a treat, man. They put on a show like you wouldn't believe. I don't care if you think you don't like the blues. If Big Al and the Heavyweights comes to your neck of the woods, you make a special point to go see because you will enjoy that show, even if you're not sure at the time. I guarantee you can't walk out of a Big Al the Heavyweight show not smiling. It is physically impossible. I guarantee you. Anyway, I know there's a bunch I'm leaving out at the moment, but I'm at the end of my drink, so we're going to wrap up this video. I'm at the end of the drink, so I got to go, man. Anyways, I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer today. Hope you all had a good weekend. Hope you're going to be safe. I guess the 4th is on Tuesday, I suppose, but some folks may be celebrating today. So just be safe, be careful. If you decide to knock a few back, don't start lighting shit up. Let somebody else light. Get a designated lighter like you should get a designated driver. Don't be stupid. I don't want to hear about my friends or even people I don't want to hear about anybody dying or losing a limb or something just because they just weren't smart. So there you go. Hey, I'm trying to whiskey whisper. Y'all have a good one.